Hello, I'm Isabel Street, and this is my final speech for Observation of Human Communication. I decided to interview both of my parents because they were primary caregivers to my grandpa. Some background on my grandpa is that he was a longtime smoker. It was basically a hobby for him. Where I'm going to start his story, he was 52 years old. In the late 90s, in his early 50s, he got an angioplasty, which is where they insert a small catheter into an artery, normally in your arm or in your waist, and it has a small balloon attached to the end of it. When they insert it into the artery, they blow it up to make room in the artery for a stent, which is the metal cage on the top right picture, and it is meant to increase blood flow. He never stopped smoking after he got his angioplasty, which is very bad. You're highly advised to stop smoking after you get an angioplasty. And where I'm going to start his story is when he was admitted to a hospital in October of 2001 and was initially diagnosed with pneumonia. He had really common pneumonia symptoms like coughing, body aches, weakness, shortness of breath. And I just want to point out, the definition of pneumonia is having an infected mucus-filled air sac in one of your lungs, which is kind of what the picture on the right shows. But he must have had something a lot worse going on with his health, because a few days after he was admitted to the hospital, he lost all of his ability to walk, speak, and all of his other motor abilities, basically overnight. All of his communication tactics were just completely taken away from him. When he would speak to his doctors or his family, they could hardly understand what he was saying because his words were complete just mumbles, and it was so hard to make out what he was trying to tell people. So his hospital stay for pneumonia instantly became a month-long stay. When he was discharged after a month from the hospital, he had to have full-time caregivers, like my parents, to be there to take care of him. They revolved around the clock. My parents, and a lot of other various family members. They needed to help him with simple daily tasks like getting dressed, changing his clothes, bathing, going to the bathroom, eating, cooking, all of those tasks that he was able to do by himself before he needed someone to do for him or with him. Now, once all of those tasks were done, there was nothing left to do but just rest, because it took so much energy out of him to do those basic life things. My dad said that this made their relationship very close because of how much time they spent together, and that he also said that he remembered times where my grandpa would use hand gestures. Because he was not able to enunciate his words, communicating through speech was very difficult, so he would use hand gestures to communicate with the caregivers. And my dad can specifically remember one time he would gesture that he needed a smoke, which he was not allowed to do anymore, but it's just something that he could vividly remember from then. And he also was able to use facial expressions to communicate with his family. He never went to work after that initial hospital visit, and he also had to quit smoking. His verbal and non-verbal communication skills just kept declining and getting worse, and his family eventually had to move him into a full-time care facility. In March 2002, 5 months after his initial visit to the hospital, he did pass away. And the final takeaway that I want to take from my grandpa's story is that you never know what's going to happen in this life. So hold on to the people that you love and communicate with them while you can how important they are before you're not able to.